And the secret to being rich is not a college education, but can you control cash flow? The 6 words you have to know and be masters of is income, expense, asset, liability. And the last 2 words are the words cash flow. It's not how much money you make. Most people, I don't care if you have a PhD or no school at all, but they can't control the cash flowing out through their expenses. So as a young person, and to all millennials or if you're old, financial intelligence is the ability to control cash flow.
I got this Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. I originally bought or was given the book by Mike Mahoney, my co-host, in 2003. This is the 20th anniversary edition, and I highly suggest this one. This one's really, really, really interesting because it gives some backstories. Listen to this. This is on page 204 of this, and let's see if this kind of sounds familiar to you. I once bought an apartment house for $1.2 million. I did what is called tying it up with a written contract between seller and buyer. I then raised the $100,000 deposit, which bought me 90 days to raise the rest of the money. Why did I do it? Simply because I knew it was worth $2 million. I never raised the money. Instead, the person who put up the $100,000 gave me $50,000 for finding the deal. Took over my position, and I walked away. Total working time, 3 days. Again, it's what you know more than what you buy. Investing is not buying. It's more a case of knowing. What does that sound like to you? What was that $50,000 that he earned with somebody, and I quote, taking over his position? This is called wholesaling. All right. This has been going on since the dawn of time. All right. Since people have been able to have personal ownership of property, it's been happening. People just called it different things, taking over a position. It's now called wholesaling. But think about this. Think about if he didn't have that investor, or if he didn't have that cash buyer. What other options would he have? What other options could he have to be able to make a great income from that deal, to actually get a return on his time for that deal? Remember, let's go to this graphic right here that we talk about. Every seller gets to pick 2 out of these 3 things right here. Okay? You got speed, convenience, and price. If they want speed and convenience, then it's a cash as is wholesale offer. If they want speed and price, right, they're going to be inconvenienced. This is where, they're going to be longer deals. It's more creative deals. They're in the deal longer. Either you take over their loan, which is still on their credit, or, you do some sort of creative finance with them where maybe they're the seller, maybe they're the bank, right? A seller finance deal. Or they just list it on the MLS. It takes longer. It's not very convenient for them. But if they want convenience and price, and the property isn't completely destroyed, and you can't get them down on price, that's what's called a novation. All right. And that's what we're going to be breaking down. I've got the master to break it down simply so that we all understand novations, because I'm telling you this, in 2023, it is going to be a tool that you need in your toolbox. Things are going to be flat. Go look at realtor.com. Go look at just Google, what are the forecasts for 2023? You're going to see in a lot of areas an increase in inventory on the properties, not an incredible decrease in the price. You can see that all markets are still showing that there's going to be appreciation values of at least 1% up to 10% in some markets. I mean, this is the forecast. It's not, there's no crystal ball. We don't know for sure. But with those 2 mixed together, that means that there's going to be opportunities to do novations and earn an incredible income from those sellers that want that speed and price. and the convenience. I mean, they want the price and the convenience. And what we're trading them for is we lock up the property, we put it under contract, we give them a certain price, and then we can go and market that property on the MLS to get a higher price, but we deal with everything else. They don't have to deal with agents, they don't have to deal with the process, the inspections, any of that, repairs, doesn't matter. We take care of it. But I'm gonna open this up to the person that has taught me Novations, taught my team Novations, taught the Rhino Tribe Novations, and that is Todd Toback. Todd, come on in here.
What's going on, my man?
Listen, 2023, it's the perfect storm for, listen, you can still wholesale these ugly houses. You can still ugly houses, big checks. But what we're finding is these properties that are dated, they need a little bit of love. The owners still want reasonable prices. They don't want to go too far down. They're not as motivated to sell these right away. And so what do we do? How do we be able to work with these people to be able to still add income to our businesses?
Well, Brent, I mean, the beauty of wholesaling is that you get to control properties, right, with little to no money down. And obviously, traditional wholesaling is very, very much alive. But the beauty of this is in the past is that we did not have to rely on selling to retail buyers. I mean, this is not something that we had to look because the buyer frenzy, right, was just so big. You know, the interesting thing though, Brent, is that I've actually been novating for years, right? Novating for years, but I really haven't taken advantage because I dare to say that maybe this rhino got a little fat and lazy, right?
Everybody did.
And so, you know, I got to tell you that when the market started to shift, right, you and I spoke and said, hey, how can we put our teams and put this Rhino Nation, right, in the best position to completely dominate 2023? And that was bypassing, right, the cash buyers, the people who we have normally sold to, and now going directly to a retail buyer. And just like you said, who can pay a lot more than a cash buyer. So if you're listening to this, you know, the reason why a retail buyer would do this, right, versus a cash buyer is that a retail buyer is not looking to make a profit, right? They're looking for the use, the enjoyment of the property. And a 10% discount on an outdated property is like a deal of a lifetime, right? Yep. I don't know about you, but like when I was looking for my first house, you know, to buy and live in, it's like, you know, oh, great. You know, the kitchen's outdated. We could paint, we could, you know, do the flooring, we could do this. And if I got that thing $30,000, $40,000 below market, it was a deal of the century. And that's what we're doing right now in our markets, not only to survive, but thrive. You know, you got a lot of, and we could talk more about this, but we have a lot of, you know, your quote unquote competition who's out there trying to sell deals to cash buyers. And you can do that, but we are completely leapfrogging, right, and doing deals that nobody else knows about, Brent.
I love it. And the retail buyer part of it is really, really interesting because we've been, it's a shift in my mindset. It's a shift in every wholesaler out there's mindset that, wait a second, we can wholesale deals to retail buyers. That's essentially what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So is it different paperwork? Is it different addendums? Is it a different conversation? Like, how do you present this to a seller that you're like, why would a seller ever do this? Why not just put it on the market themselves and get this thing done and not deal with us at all?
Well, let me back up a few steps, right? Because the first step in doing a novation deal, the first step, right, is getting your mindset straight, right? I don't know about you, right? But when I first read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I read, you know, multiple streams of income, they're talking about getting, you know, houses 40 and 50 cents on the dollar, right? And I'm like, who's going to do that, right? You know, like there's no way a seller would do that, right? And now you and I and all the rhinos and everyone, you know, from Wholesaling Inc. and TTP, it's like we do this every single day, right? And people outside our circle are like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you can't do that. That's crazy. And so now when you're learning a new strategy, you're getting to that next level, it's going to require a stretching of your mind. Okay, Brent and everybody else. So that's where you have to start. So the first thing you have to say is, okay, this sounds uncomfortable. I'm not used to it. Why would anybody do this? right? And so you have to say, okay, I'm going to trust Todd. I'm going to trust Brent that this is something that they're doing and is working in this market. And this has been done since, the dawn of time,
Yeah.
right? That this can be done. So if a seller will sell your house, if a seller who's got a problem will sell their house to you for 40 or 50 cents on the dollar, they'll sure as heck sell to you for 80 cents
Mm-hmm.
on the dollar, right? With just a little bit more time and flexibility. Because think about it, right? Now, we do not act as real estate agents. But I can tell you that people list their house with agents all the time, right? And they sit there and they list with an agent, and they will list their house for 6 months with the expectation of a buyer,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so now we come in and say, hey, we can do that a lot faster. We can do that a lot better. And we'll talk about the specifics, everybody. So don't worry about that, right? But this is an improvement from that situation, right? It is improvement. Thank you very, very much. I got my bell here just in case. So where I'm going with that, right, is this is an improvement from listing with a realtor, right? You're gonna get convenience, you're gonna get speed. I'm sorry, you're gonna get your price and you're gonna get some convenience, but you're not necessarily gonna get your speed. Okay.
Right.
Now, the difference between, well, I'll talk about the similarities first. The similarities with a traditional wholesale deal versus a novation deal is you're still locking up a property under contract. Okay. And you're still finding a buyer for that property. Those are the similarities, right? A new buyer is basically taking your place. The difference is, though, is that in a traditional wholesale deal, you're finding a cash buyer. In a novation, you're finding a retail buyer. Now, the mechanics of a novation specifically are different for the sole purpose of the lender. Okay, so the only obstacle that we have to get past, which we're going to show you how to just rhino through it, okay? We're going to show you how to blast through this, is the loan. How does the buyer get financing when selling to you when you don't have title, right? And that's always been the big, big, big roadblock.
Yep.
Okay. So we said, okay, how do we sit down? How do we make this
Real quick, Todd. So they can't get financing. Why? Why can't they get financing if you're not the seller? You know what I mean? Like if we're going out there and we have a wholesale deal, why can't we just put wholesale deals out on the MLS, get a retail buyer that's going to get a loan and the loan is going to cover it? I mean, it's cash is cash, money is money, right? Whether it comes from the bank or whether it comes from people that have it in their account or a hard money lender, like what's the difference?
Sure. Well, the biggest thing is that lenders, they're stiff, right? They're stiff and they have a bunch of rules. And so, for whatever reason, right, you have to be, they have to have a chain of title. This is where I'm going, actually.
Yep.
Basically, a chain of title that has to go through. They have to make sure that their investment is safe, right? And so if you're on title, if you're if the seller is the seller and the buyer is the buyer, and so all of a sudden this untraditional real estate transaction comes through, all the bells and whistles go forth. So what we're going to show you how to do, right, is make this familiar to them. You have to play in their world, right? And that's what we're going to show you how to do with two very, very, very pieces of paperwork. But the reason why they won't do it is that basically the way the title insurance works and the lender is that the seller has to be the seller of record, right, on there before they will loan on it.
Well, and also I believe it affects the appraisal, right? Because the appraiser, the first thing the appraiser looks for on a retail deal, the appraiser protects the bank. It's a third party. They go out, make sure that the value of the property is there. The first thing that they ask you for is the purchase agreement. If you locked up that purchase agreement at $120,000, but you sold it to this buyer at $150,000, that appraiser is going to look at, oh, it's under contract at $120,000. That's the real price, and that's what we're going to go off of. And what Novations does is it puts it out there and you're not necessarily assigning the deal to the new cash buyer. You're novating them. You're replacing yourself, which is a whole different, it's a different technique, which is huge to have, especially in a flat and declining market. I'm telling you guys, it's going to be absolutely critical to understand what we're talking about here.
And Brent, by the way, we just novated a deal, by the way, that we were going to have to throw away. right? So our team locked it up. We sent it out to the cash buyers. It was in decent condition. We couldn't do anything with it, right? And let me tell you, we novated the deal. Okay, this one was on Hudson Street. We're going to make around $22,000. Like, not like a giant home run, but I can tell you what, two or three of those a month, it beats a sharp stick in the eye, right?
Yep. Yep.
So let me talk a little bit about, you mentioned the appraisal and all this other stuff. So the most important thing, and if you are right in that, if you are buying for 160 in the same transaction, you sell for 210, the lender's going to be like, whoa, Nelly, what the heck is going on here? Okay. So the key point here is we have to make this appear, right? And not any kind of illegal or deceptive way, but when they look at it, it has to look like a traditional transaction. And we're going to show you how to do that here today. Is that fair? Because you only need 2 pieces of paperwork, Brent.
Yeah.
Only
Well,
2.
and it truly is, because this is an agreement that you have with the seller. This is much different. In a traditional wholesale, it's more you're getting paid from the buyer. And listen, in all real estate transactions, you're getting paid from the buyer in these deals. But what you're really doing is you're setting a baseline up with your seller at they get to keep this price. Everything that you sell above that, you get to keep. And you're able to do it in the retail market. We're going to break that all down. We've had some great questions. Guys, we're going to do this show a little bit different. It's just Todd and I today. Mike and Raphael are taking the day off because we really want to deep dive this. And to be able to do that, we want to bring you onto the show. We're going to put a link in the chat. Okay. The questions about novations are going to come in first, and then we'll get into whatever you want to do. I mean, Todd's been doing this forever. He's wholesaled, he's lease optioned, he's seller finance, he's bought the trailer parks, he's bought multifamily, he's done everything, right? So you've got an unbelievable wealth of knowledge here and a real thought leader here on the show today. So make sure that you bring your questions, and we want to bring you on live and get some real interaction so we can deep dive your questions. But we're going to start. If you have some Novation questions, I saw some in the chat here while it was up on my screen in front of me here about how, net listings in New Jersey are illegal and all these other things. Let's break it down, baby. Let's break this all down and get through all of the questions and all the murkiness so that we can really get in and really answer your questions so that you can implement this into your business. Because I'm telling you, the people that are doing it in these flat markets or decreasing markets are winning big. And it's a huge service to a very, very niche seller out there that doesn't want to deal with the property, but they still want higher prices, which we run across a lot. Okay. Long gone are the days that we can just literally June 15th, boom, the axe came down in 2022 and said, listen, interest rates are going up, inflation's going up. We're going to, the cash buyers are going to scatter. People that are caught in the middle of flips are going to take some losses, some minor, some major, and, but sellers still are going to sell. The stats still say sellers are still going to sell. So how can we help them, and how can we get the biggest profits and hit our financial goals for 2023? So let's get into this question real quick, Todd, and we'll put the link in there, guys. Be brave. Come on the show. We want to talk to you face to face. Let's get this thing going. Net listing is illegal in New Jersey, and some are considered novation, and some considering novation a net listing. What's your take on it?
Man, well, first of all, great question, Kamich. Number one is I do not recommend, right, acting as a broker. So if you're a broker or a real estate agent, I never recommend when you're investing, acting in that capacity. Right. Now, I'm sure there are things that you can take, but I know Brent obviously talks, there's a recovering real estate agent. He's like, why would you, represent someone and make 2.5% when you could be an investor and make 10 or 20%?
Yep.
So net listings may be illegal in New Jersey, but remember, we are not acting as a broker. Okay. The second part is, and this is really important. It says, and some are considering a novation as a net listing. Well, who is some? Right? You have to be very, very careful about, okay, is it a brokerage, right? Is it other real estate agents? And so it's really, really, really important that you know that you are acting as a principal. And all this is, and let's explain a little bit on how this works, right? Is that you are going to have an agreement with a seller, right? And how we go about getting paid on this is that we actually put the buyer and seller together. Right. Yep. They do a new transaction together, buyer and seller. right? So the new buyer writes off an offer to the original seller in a new agreement, right? State realtor form, so the brokers are comfortable with them because the buyer is most likely going to have a broker, right, representing them. Okay, you are just getting paid by the seller to release your agreement. Okay,
Yep.
and so in all to my knowledge, in all 50 states, right, it is legal to get paid, right, for somebody to buy you out of your agreement, to cancel your agreement, to pay to release them from an obligation. Okay. And so we call these novations, right? As a name, right? I like to call them net proceeds agreement, but in reality, right, this is just a transaction between a buyer and a seller, and we are getting paid to be released from that transaction. Now, here's a legal question, okay, which I always like to pose. You are going to have a million people telling you what you can and can't do.
Yep.
When I started out doing lease options, I had brokers and agents saying those are legal. No, not illegal. I said, wholesaling is illegal. You need to have a license to buy and sell real estate. No, so there's a lot of misinformation. So the one thing that I would recommend, obviously, don't listen to me when it comes to legal advice, but I gave you my experience, is go to your attorney and say, not if I can do this, but how I can do this, right? How can I do this? Because I know in every 50, in all 50 states, to my knowledge, right, it is not illegal to be bought out of an agreement. Okay.
Yeah, the
Go ahead.
real important thing here, K-Mash, is you're not listing yourself on a net listing agreement.
Yeah.
You're getting an agent to do a regular listing, right,
Mhm.
Todd, with
Yep.
the seller that they agree on, and they let you handle the process
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, right? You're the one picking out the agent, you're the one communicating with them, you're the one helping out if there's some things that show up in the inspection period to be able to fix up. I mean,
Yep.
people really started out with this, Todd, where they go, okay, there's a homeowner, they own these. This is my first like pull into Novations. Okay, there's a homeowner, they want a higher price than I'm willing to give them, but they want to partner with me where I go in and I fix up the property, and we have a partnership agreement where they get their certain price, I fix it up, and then once I get my money back, we split profits, based on some sort of agreement. That's what I thought Novations was. That was the first like dive into it, was like partnering with property owners to do some sort of partnership where they bring the property, I bring the experience and the contractors, and take care of all the hassle of it, and we get the highest price possible for the properties. But what you're talking about is properties that really don't need a tremendous amount of repairs. You're talking about properties that are probably more dated, and it's more the do-it-yourselfer first-time home buyers that are going to be purchasing these properties, and they're going to feel good, right? You said it, and it was an image in my head, and I knew exactly who this buyer was. You go, Brent, this is the people that post on Instagram and post on Facebook, and their profile picture is them standing in front of their house with paint all over their clothes, with a big prideful smile on their face, saying, you know what, we're making something special of our first home. That to me made so much sense. And I was like, okay, I understand who these buyers are. I understand who the sellers are. Now it's just understanding the mechanics of putting together those deals.
I think the biggest thing though too is that for all our real estate agents and brokers watching, this is going to be a real mind shift. You're going to have to really, really stretch here. Do not list your own deals.
Nope.
Right? Do not. Number one, first of all, my number one reason is that there's a reason why you are attracted to Brent and myself and the Rhino Tribe, right? And I'm assuming it's because you don't want to earn the kind of money that real estate agents make. You want to earn investor money, right? And so we make money by finding the deals, not by doing the work that agents do. So here's a fun fact, is that we typically list with a real estate agent. We pay our agent about 1.5%.
Yep.
Okay. 1.5%. And so that's not, that is some money, right? But my point here is that if you're an agent or a broker, don't try to save that. Partner with someone who's going to do that. And that way you not only make more money because you could go find another deal, but you don't get stuck in this like weird, am I representing the seller? Am I not representing the seller? Am I the listing broker? Am I not? And my number one rule, right, for everyone in our Novations bootcamp is do not list your own properties.
Yep.
Find a broker. I don't care if you've been a broker for 30 years, find a broker.
Awesome. So you mentioned 2 pieces of paperwork.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Okay, so here's the cool part.
Let's reveal the mystery, Todd.
All right. So the first part, which is great, is that we use a very simple purchase agreement,
Yep.
right? And it looks a lot like our cash buyer. It looks a lot like our traditional wholesaling paperwork when we lock up a deal, right? As a matter of fact, it looks familiar because it is the same one. Here's the key point. That purchase contract has one little clause in it, and it says buyer may market property on MLS. Okay, and it says that I have the right to inspect. It says I can have access. It says I can market for buyers. It says that I can get my contractors in, appraisers, lenders, all that. It's right in the agreement. Okay. Now, some people may be thinking, Todd, who the heck would agree to that? Why would a seller ever agree to that? Because 99% of them do.
Yep.
Right? They don't have a problem. You have to realize that people who are motivated, they want to get the process going, right? They want to sign the paperwork. They want to, if you're going to market the house on the MLS, they'll actually get excited if you told them that, and then you do that, and then title calls them, right? And they see all this activity. They're like, okay, this is happening. This is happening. Let's go. It's in motion. And so that's the first piece of paperwork that you have.
By the way, guys, in the contract that we have available to you to download and bring to your local attorneys and title companies at wholesalinginc.com, it's right in there. I mean, it's literally part of the contract that you have the right to put it on the MLS. So you can definitely download that, because I know you got some questions on how do I get that contract? What does that look like? It's in wholesalinginc.com. It's in the Wholesaling Inc. Academy. If you are not part of the academy there, it's completely complimentary, and it's got unbelievable amount of resources for you to download, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of complimentary free downloads. So definitely check that out. Wholesalinginc.com. Join the academy right now. We've got somebody to join us live here, Todd. Let's go with our first guest. Who do we have? Tracy.
Tracy.
Awesome. Tracy. There she is. All right. From Amarillo, Texas. She's doing business in Dallas, Fort Worth. And so what questions do you have, Tracy?
So I would love to hear like your initial pitch for Novations, because sometimes I'm on the phones and I can tell it's not going to be a good wholesale deal. I just don't know what to say next.
Man, great question. Well, I can tell you this, Tracy. The number one thing that we're on the phone is that we don't pitch a Novation.
Oh,
okay.
Well, that's maybe why I can't think about it.
Right. And so the biggest thing is that, by the way, the one thing about a Novation, Tracy, is, we still have to buy at a discount, right? We still have to buy at a discount. It's not as deep of a discount, but we'll come over there. And traditionally, we're trying to always go for the wholesale deal first. Why? Right. Because if I negotiate a big, fat, juicy wholesale deal, I can either do a wholesale deal or novate it. It gives me a lot of options, right? So in that standpoint, if I could lock it up for a really, really good wholesale price, I might make 30 if I sell it to a cash buyer, and I might make 80 if I sell it to a retail buyer, right? Something like that. But brings me back to my second point, is that usually, not always, usually what I'll do here is we pitch them after we have our retail buyer lined up. Okay. So we put it on the MLS. We have our buyer. My broker, right, has solidified that, they can get their financing and that they're really serious. They're motivated. That's key. You always have to find a motivated buyer, right? Then what we do is we call up the seller and say, Mr. Seller, good news, right? We're going to be able to close at the price we discussed. Here's the deal, though. My financing is coming from my outside buyer. Okay. So my financing is coming from my outside buyer. I need to send you some new paperwork. Okay. So that financing can go through and you can get your money. Okay. So this new paperwork, what you're going to see is a new agreement. You're going to see a higher price on that purchase agreement. Okay. And you're just going to hit that like right between the eyes, right? You're not going to hold that back because they're going to see it. So you're not going to hold that back. Right. But here's the important thing. I'm also going to send you another piece of paperwork, right? And that's called a net proceeds agreement. And on that, that's going to say that you are guaranteed to net what I originally promised you. Now, out of that higher amount that you see with this new buyer, there's going to be some real estate commissions, closing costs. I might have to make some repairs at the last minute. I'm going to cover all of those. Okay. I'm going to give you exactly what I promised you, but I just need you to sign this paperwork as soon as possible so that we could get the ball rolling on the closing.
That's amazing.
Right.
And take some stress off, because I know how to pitch that I'm going to buy your house, and everything. You just come back later with the new contracts and everything, and sort it out then.
Yeah, we sort it out then. It's kind of like the ball's rolling, right? They're happy. They see the activity. All of a sudden, you throw in a little wrinkle, but that momentum, right, has brought in some goodwill, right? But one thing that's really important is that you always want to anchor them that the house is on the MLS, right? And that they're going to have buyers coming through.
Sure.
That way, if you do that, and when buyers come through, you kept the promise, they see it, you do it, they're like, okay. Okay, right? This has really, really happened, right? It's Tracy, right?
Yep.
So they're like, Tracy does what she says. And so, she wants to change this thing. Oh, no problem. The problem will happen if all of a sudden you don't tell the seller, hey, I'm going to be marketing this, and my buyers are going to be coming through. And all of a sudden you take a bunch of buyers in, and they're like, well, you didn't tell me that. And now you have to like backpedal, right? To try to
lose
rebuild that trust, right? So, for me, I find I don't need to, give the seller all of the details of the transaction, right? But what I do have to do is I have to anchor them and prep them for things that they're going to see that might throw them off guard. Like buyers coming in through the property with their real estate agent, right? Right. So if you get in front of that, right, it's going to be, a lot easier.
Well, thank you.
Great.
Good
question.
to see you, Tracy. Awesome. Guys, listen, remember this show is about 3 things, right? Number 1 is squatting up in the comments section. Make sure that you treat this like a networking opportunity. Make sure you let everybody know in the side chat where you are doing business, okay? Make sure that you connect with people that are similar to you, because the fact is you're going to talk to a lot of people in your life, friends, family, loved ones. You're going to be excited about wholesaling and investing in real estate and doing novations, and they're going to look at you like you're speaking a different language.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure you connect with people that understand what you're trying to accomplish, because they are doing the same thing. Maybe they're a few steps ahead of you and they're going to pull you faster. The second thing is we want to answer your questions. We've got a link in here that you can go and keep posting it, Alejandro. Keep posting that link so that you can join us live. We'll pull you up on to the show for you to ask your questions so that we can really deep dive. And number 3 is we want to celebrate any success that you've had, any progress that you've made. If you've talked to your first seller this week, if you've closed a deal, if you just locked up a deal, whatever it is, if you've bought an investment property, we want to know about it. We want to celebrate you. I want to ring this victory bell. I'm getting itchy. We're 36 minutes into this thing. I haven't rang this victory bell yet. I know that we're putting in some really, really good work here with Todd, but we want to celebrate you. All right. Here we go. Stephanie asks, Todd, is finding property at government auctions legal?
Stephanie, I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, but if the government's having an auction, I'm sure it's legal. If you're asking me if you can novate a deal from an auction, I can tell you that's not something that we're teaching right now or understand. But again, if you can make money at government auctions, go for it. Share how you're doing it. But for the novations, we don't do novations with government.
I'm wondering if that's a foreclosure auction. And listen, there's some good deals. I mean, here's the thing. If it goes to or maybe it's a tax sale type of thing, maybe that's what they're talking about, is a tax sale. Typically there is a period of time where there's a right of rescission. I know that in some states it's really, really, really quick. Like within a year. In Arizona, you have to not pay your property taxes for 3 years. So what I would do is do a little bit of research, Stephanie, and just find out if you buy somebody's tax lien, how long it takes for you to be able to take ownership of that property. And you should be able to find that answer right away. All right? Awesome. For 2030, is the housing market going to be volatile or cool down? I don't know about 2030.
Well, I got a very, very, very passionate answer about this, Brent.
Okay.
So the answer is you got to always be in the game, Stephanie. right? You must always be in the game. You know, there people have been saying the market is going to crash since 2012. Okay,
Yep.
literally, right?
Yes.
So what's that, Brent?
Yeah. No,
Right?
100%. I've
And
been
so
hearing this since
it's
2012.
unpredictable. And so if I would have stopped wholesaling or stopped taking action, you know, I mean, you know, Brent and I and the students and the rhinos here have made millions and millions of dollars. And so you always have to be in the game. Now, what does that mean? That means should you take stupid risks and buy properties that don't cash flow and overpay for properties? No, right? We always recommend buying at a discount. So no matter what the market does, right, you are going to thrive, right? I recommend wholesaling. I recommend novating. I recommend buying and holding properties, taking over existing financing and owner financing. But the numbers have to make sense.
Yep.
Right. The numbers have to make sense. And so that's why you're part of this community, right? We can help you make sense of those numbers, and you could be around people who can help you some of those deals.
I also think, you know, it's really interesting, Todd. I've been diving a lot back into Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I had a conversation. It kind of pulled me along to a guy named Dave Zook, and I actually invested into his company. He buys a bunch of ATMs. That's a whole different conversation, but you get a tremendous tax write-off for it. But he had 3,000 apartment units, 300 to 400 million in storage units, and 300 million in ATMs. And I had a conversation with him yesterday that's going to be on the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. And he stopped buying multifamily in 2018. The cap rates just weren't there. It just didn't make sense. And then he liquidated it while the market was hot. I'm telling you guys, listen, if you take advantage right now and you're just getting into this, or you're building the momentum in your business, find ugly houses and get big checks, build up a big, healthy bank account, build up a war chest so that when those opportunities come, when those unbelievable properties that are in good areas with good economic bases come, you can take advantage of it. And that's how you grow real wealth. Can you go out in the outskirts? Can you go out in places that, you know, the market's not hot, properties are sitting for a long time, you're seeing things cool off or decrease? Can you go out there and find great opportunities with people that are totally stressed out and distressed with their properties? Absolutely. Should you own them? It's going to be up to you, but I'm not. I'll tell you that.
Oh, Stephanie meant 2023.
Yeah, I figured she did.
But, you know, Stephanie, what I'm going to tell you right now, here's what I do know, is that you can wholesale and novate right now and make large sums of cash, right? And that's something that I'm always going to recommend. And you can always turn that cash, are you ready, into cash flow, right? Which I just love. And so, you know, in terms of doing that, both these strategies that we're talking about today, right, you can do in the up markets and the down markets. You know, if I had to just give me if I could give you some value, interest rates probably will go up in some capacity in the rest of 2023. And I'm very much with agreement with Brent. You know, we're definitely going to see a flattening out here.
Awesome.
And this is why this is so important.
Chris Glick, all right. Just like a deal this morning at 122,000. They were asking 172,000. Got them all the way down.
Brent. Hold up. All right, let's go. Ready?
Congratulations, Chris. Now get that deal sold. Get that deal sold. All right. Awesome. Congratulations, Chris. Go get it. I just got my real estate license in Florida. I've been having trouble finding a broker that let their agent wholesale. Do you have any recommendations? I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, what I would do is I would go into the investment Facebook groups in your area, and I would post that question. I would say, what is the most wholesale investing friendly real estate brokerage in Jacksonville, Florida? And you're going to get some responses. You'll probably get some responses from the brokers of those companies. Yeah. So that's what I would do. I would also go to meetup.com. I would go to meetup.com, find real estate investing meetups, and go talk to them. And I would also I would Google REIA, REIA, Jacksonville, Florida, and I would go to those meetups, and I would see where everybody's hanging their license that is doing wholesale deals in Florida.
Let me give you one other trip. One other, and this is what is it? Go get it. Let's go get its name. I also recommend for everyone who's in the Novation training is to find the brokers from your title company, right? And if you find those fix and flipper brokers who are kind of in the business, right, you're going to find a lot more flexibility with the smaller brokerages. The bigger brokerages, they're always kind of more sketchy over just anything non-traditional.
100%. Yeah, you got to find ones that were built by investors. That's what I find are the best, and run it through there. Absolutely, you'll find them. They're everywhere. It's not like it's a small market.
Yeah.
Traffic X Agency. What methods are you using to find sellers other than PPC? Are you using expired listings? Todd, do you want to go and I'll
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
I'll let loose?
Sure. Well, there's a couple things. Number one is I still like direct mail. I like getting stuff off of Google My Business. Well, that's my second one. And the third thing is I use novationleads.com, novationleads.com. And we partner with Need to Sell My House Fast. And I don't know where they get their leads, but they're some of the best leads that we've gotten in 2023. So those are my top three, right? The novationleads.com, or they source them online somehow, but that's some of our best leads for 2023. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, Traffic X. Listen, you got three options, right? You can pay for marketing and get the calls coming in. You can build a reputation where you've got people out there that know you, like you, trust you, and they're going to send you referrals, right? They're going to send you these opportunities. Or you can go out and be proactive. You can pick up the phone and call people that own these ugly houses, these distressed properties, situations. You could door knock them. That's really the two main ways of being proactive. You can kind of throw text message marketing into there, but that's more of a marketing because you're paying for that, but you're reaching out to them as opposed to them reaching out to you. So that's the main. What are you going to do? Do you have a budget for marketing? Awesome. I would find out, what the average cost is to get a deal in your market. Just ask the bigger players in your network what it's costing them. In Phoenix, direct mail got to the point where it was $15,000 a deal. Pay-per-click got up to $9,000 to $19,000 a deal, right? In the more competitive market. So you need to know these things before you just start throwing out money at it, and hoping that you get a return on your investment. And if you have no money for marketing and you have no reputation yet, because you're just getting started, you have to be proactive. Go out in the streets, find the ugliest properties that you can, use the Deal Machine app, get the information of the property owners, and reach out to them and have a quality conversation. And that's how you start building momentum in your business.
Well, let me talk a little bit about squatting up too, Brent.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about two ways. Number one, Brent, and I got to compliment, the Rhino Nation here. I mean, there's a phenomenal community here, right? I can tell you right now, though, there are two, people fall in one of two camps. Either they have more time than money, or more money than time. And so I can tell you right now that there are people sitting in this community who have basically got a ton of leads, right? And they've gone out and they've taken pictures, or they've hired drivers. They got 3,000-4,000 leads sitting in their database. Okay. And right now, because of their lack of time, maybe they have a job, maybe they're making great money. They haven't called those people, or they're not following up, right? Or they are just kind of sitting there rotting, right? And this is not a bad thing, because now you can squat up and capitalize with those people, right? And split the deals 50-50. So that's something I recommend, especially right now, by the way, is that if you're thinking about doing novations, there's like so much gold sitting in other people's databases. So you don't need $1, right? Squat up and find, a bunch of other people, right, in the tribe, and make that happen. That's the first part. The other part about that is if you do, the novationleads.com thing, you can also control your bidding, and so that you pay a max per lead. Here's the good news, guys. And this is why I'm thinking 2023 is going to be awesome. Because of the turmoil in the market, a lot of cash buyers, got into the direct to seller game. Right. And so they started spending marketing dollars and driving up costs. You're still doing deals, but you kind of had to start to, deal with them a little bit. And so now a lot of those people are leaving the market. And what I'm seeing now is the prices per contract now are starting to come down,
It's awesome.
right?
Yep.
And so now there's a little bit of fear in the market. Now this is the time where you just gotta you gotta go. You gotta drop the hammer like Thor right now.
So true. Vasily, isn't a wrap better than doing a novation? Please explain, because I'm confused which method is best. Oh, we're getting deep now, Vasily.
Oh, yes.
Okay, now you're talking. You just perked up Todd's ears. I saw it, Todd. I saw the twinkle in your eye as soon as we saw this, because you love creative finance. You love putting together deals. You love using your mind as opposed to just using cash. So what's the difference here? I mean, why wouldn't a wrap be better?
Well, Vasily, great question. First of all, I love I love wraps. And for everyone who's watching, what a wrap is, okay, is basically if you take over the seller's existing financing. So if the seller has a house and there's a loan against it, right, you would basically take over that existing payment, okay, and without getting a new loan, without cash or credit. Sometimes people call that subject to investing. And the way that it's sold, I'm assuming that's what you're thinking about. Okay. And if you can get a deal like that and it makes sense, hey, great, you should do it. But a wrap is completely different from a novation in that you are not taking over the seller's loan, right? What you're doing is you just have a contract to purchase, right? And that could be 30, 60, 90 days. And then you're getting bought out of that contract. A wrap is actually when you physically buy the property, right? And you leave that existing loan in place. And that depends on the deal and what you want to do with it. Do you want to hold it as a rental, right? Or are you going to try to resell it to an end buyer, or are you going to try to novate it and just be in and out of this thing in 60 to 90 days? That also part, Vasily, is depending on what the seller's willing to do, right? It has to be a different kind of motivation between a novation and a wrap. So hopefully that answered your question.
So just to break down real quick, a wrap, somebody has a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want a certain amount out of the property. They keep the loan in place. You give them a certain amount. You're actually paying them a certain amount to wrap this thing. Is that typical?
It depends, right? So the cool part about a wrap, and I don't want to get too far off topic. We're going to teach on this, but don't confuse this with novations, everybody. Okay.
Right.
So usually, and it depends how much they owe. So if a seller, like right now, it's funny. I was talking about this yesterday. Let's say a seller bought a house for $300,000, 6 months ago, right? And they got a great loan, 3.5% interest rate. Well, all of a sudden right now, because of the market, let's say that thing is worth only 280, right? I mean, that's not a very big decrease, right? It's not a very big decrease. But now that person has to pay your real estate commissions. They've got to pay closing costs, right? And so literally you're looking at like 15,000. So that means, that seller is going to have to come out of pocket, right? For what? $35,000 to close that property.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening. So I'm going to go to that seller and let's just say they got a nice, juicy 2.7% mortgage interest rate on there, which is like gold, baby, gold. I'm going to go to that seller and say, Mr. Seller, I'll tell you what, how about I just continue to make the payments on this property? You can get out from under it. You don't have to make the payments anymore. You can move to Texas, right? And we can get this closed in the next 5 days. And I'm going to give you $1,500 for your troubles. Okay. They're like, great. They got their truck packed. I give them $1,500. I own the title to that property without cash. Well, excuse me, not no cash.
A little bit.
$1,500, right? I didn't have to qualify for the bank. I just took over the payments. And now I've got a great property in a great area with a great interest rate. I could keep it and rent it, right? Let's say my total payment with taxes and insurance is maybe $1,600. I could rent that thing up, maybe $1,700, $1,800, maybe $2,000. But this is a great wealth creator, right? Or I could go around and turn around and resell that property, actually kind of the way I bought it, which is a whole nother topic.
Yeah, got it. So Vasily, I think that, to peel this question just a little bit, I assume that with a wrap, you're going to want to hold this thing, but maybe you're thinking that you wrap it and then you sell it yourself later. That could be interesting. And I think that that's what Todd was getting into, being able to sell that to an end buyer and do that. But what he's talking about is these properties that you want to get in, you want to get out, and you want to make sure that it's as quick and smooth as possible. And you're not doing all these extra things of going and finding these buyers that aren't necessarily on the MLS.
Right.
Yep. Cool. Chris asks, if you pitch this to a seller after getting a new buyer, how do you sort out having other buyers walk through their house?
If you pitch this to the seller after getting a new buyer, how do you sort out having other buyers walk through?
You already sold it, Chris.
Yeah. So Chris, if I get a new buyer, I'm not really showing it, right? Unless for whatever reason I lose that buyer.
Yeah, if the buyer backs out, then sure, you got to get new buyers. But if you already have it sold to somebody else, you can't sell it twice. A novation is they're replacing you in your contract.
Maybe he's asking, how do I explain why buyers are walking through the house after I bought it? I don't know, Chris. Put that in the comments or ask the question. But yeah, if you've already sold it, they've signed the paperwork, buyers have already walked through, you're not going to need to show it some more unless you have to find a new buyer, right?
All right. Are there any specific areas in the country that novations or wholesales in general are doing very well right now?
Well, here's what I would tell you is that you are looking, I mean, the better the condition, the property, the easier it is going to move, right? So I can share that. I'm also going to recommend, you stay out of war zones doing it, because people in war zones are going to have a hard time getting financing.
Sure.
Right. So I like to play in areas that are definitely, I don't know where the loan limits are coming in, but definitely over $80,000, because a lot of lenders are going to just shy away from that. But I want there to be retail buyer activity. Okay. So you want to make sure the retail buyers are still there. You can look up in PropStream the last 6 months, just make sure that there's, at least, 300-400 transactions that have taken place in the last 6 months in that zip code.
Awesome. Liana, how can I get a cash buyer fast? I got a wholesale deal to assign. All I need is to assign it. Todd, how would you get a cash buyer fast?
Man, I hate to beat a dead horse, right? But I really, really love the MLS for cash buyers and retail buyers. So in that contract, you could stick it right on the MLS, right? To do that. And that's the biggest, fastest, easiest way to get a cash buyer and go from there. And I would start there, right? If I was brand new and I was on this webinar or this training today and had it in my contract, I would just stick it right on the MLS. If I didn't, then I would go to my, maybe my local real estate group, my RIA, my local Facebook groups, and go there second.
Yeah. Liana, listen, find everybody that is selling properties that have just sold a flip, call their real estate agents up and say, hey, I've got an incredible deal in the area that you just sold a flip. This is a great opportunity if it's a flip property or if it's a buy and hold property, whatever else. I would look in batchleads.io. I would look for all the cash buyer activity that's going on there and find those cash buyers. I'd go into Zillow again and look for all the agents that have properties that have sold recently in the area that you're at that are staged. That they're flips. They look beautiful. They look updated. They look staged. They look great. And I'd start reaching out to them. But you got to pound the phones. You need to spend as much time selling your deal as you did finding your deal. All right. There's still plenty of cash out there. There's still plenty of people that want to make sure that they put their money into good investments. And it's your job to go out there and find them. So start getting loud about your deal. You can also reach out to your closing attorney or title company, depending on what state you're in, and ask them who's still buying right now and who can I put this deal in front of. I would also reach out and I would Google hard money lenders in your area. I'd call them up and say, hey, listen, I've got an unbelievable deal. I'd love for you to do the financing on it. Do you have a list of buyers that are actively buying right now that you can sell it to? Let me tell you a little secret about hard money lenders. They love making a couple extra grand assigning deals or getting a fee for sending over their cash buyers to you, connecting the two people, you and the cash buyers. Plus, they get the loan. I'm telling you, some of the biggest wholesalers in town are hard money lenders. There you go. Is that how much did both of you make on your first year wholesale? I love it. Todd?
Well, let me ask you this. And are you asking me how much I did when I did my first deal or my first year full
Your
time?
first full year, Todd. What did you make wholesaling?
First full year, I think I netted $280,000 if I remember right.
Yep.
That was like in terms of doing that, and I probably it was right around 450 or 500 gross, right? So I think that was probably 250 or 280. If I remember, I'd have to look back at my tax return, but good question.
Is that 100,000? I made 100,000, but you have to remember, I had also been in the business for 9 years. So I got my license in 04, started finding out what wholesaling was in 13. And the first 3 deals that I did, I was just earning a 3% commission like a real estate agent was, because I was thinking like a real estate agent, right? And then when I understood that you can get wholesale fees for exactly what I was doing, then that's when things really took off. And really the big thing there was I closed a $42,000 deal that really pushed me over the edge, because it was really smaller deals. And then I hit a bigger deal. And that's always going to happen if you stay consistent. And in our business, it's like clockwork. Every 90 days we do, now a 6-figure deal. Right. And that's massive. But in the beginning, I thought like 20,000 was unbelievable. And then I did a $42,000 deal and my nervous system shut down. I was shaking in the kitchen, being all crazy. My wife's like, "What's wrong with you?" And then I did a $50,000 deal and my brain broke forever. And now you look at $100,000 deals and it's, okay, no problem. How do I get to 250,000? How do I get to $500,000? How do I do $1 million deal? Did you go through that same kind of mental gymnastics, Todd, as you were growing and doing bigger deals and getting bigger opportunities?
Well, and I'm not sure the purpose of your question here, but I remember like my first deal, right, is I had to bring on a partner. I don't know what I was doing, right? And, I think we made 80 total and we split that and made 40. But I got to tell you, I kind of struggled, my first couple of years in the business, like a lot of wholesalers. But I think that one of the things that I'll talk about a little bit is that income thermostat, because I had my job, right? And so I made that deal and then I didn't do like any other kind of creative deals for like 2 years, right? And so I was, all over the place and, doing a lot of different things. And so I was making money, but not that. And so literally that first year when I made that 280, that's when I pretty much like dropped everything. I quit my job and I fully focused. But for sure, we started this conversation today about expanding your mind, and expanding your mind on what is possible per deal is like the number one indicator of success in this business, right? And so I used to think a $10,000 deal was the bee's knees, right? And guess
and
what?
It is.
It is. And it was, by the way, when I believed that also, and I loved it, every deal was 10,000.
Yes.
Right. And then, it was 20 and then 30 and then 40 and then 50, so for me, I like to shoot for $50,000 on every single deal now, right? It's funny. Brent and I just joint ventured on a deal, right? We split it, and that check was about $25,000 each.
That's right.
It was 24, 800. And so you want to continually expand your mind and
from a cold call, by the way, from a call, guys, that was one call led to over $50,000 in income, in net bottom line. And we split it. And I'm telling you, it was all from picking up the phone, being proactive and calling.
And by the way, hey, let's reiterate that, right? Everything that we preach, we do.
Yep.
Right. So that literally came from a cold call. Right. And by the way, my team, right, and this could be you, but they followed up and followed up and followed up and followed up and followed up. And we sold it, and we sold it, by the way, like a traditional wholesale deal, right? We assigned the deal, and the cash buyer came, I believe, from, a list that we had cold called years ago. Right. And we sold it to the title company, got the check. There was no magic, just a lot of elbow grease and making it happen. Right. And you can do it too.
Yeah. And guys, remember when Todd started out, he was making good money. I mean, he was selling Viagra for Pfizer. Good thing you changed industries, though. I think you could buy that now off Amazon, but you'd be out of a job,
You can buy it
Todd.
at the
But
gas
it was a
station.
good thing that you transitioned. Interesting side note. There you go. Do we have somebody to bring on? All right. Who do we got? Stephanie.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey,
Hey.
great to see you.
Good to see you guys too. Hi,
Let everybody
Todd
know where you
Toback.
live.
How you doing, man?
Good. How about you? I love that smile, Stephanie. Love your energy.
Yes, I love your energy too. I've listened to many of your podcasts. No Limit Selling. Yes, it's awesome. It's great. Thank you for all your work. You're great, great, great guy. Good guy.
Thank you.
Okay, this is my question. So, there's Novation as the concept is convenience and price is what they want, right? So they don't want to deal with people coming in our house. You take care of that, right? You deal with scheduling that. So now, as a traditional wholesaler, we've always like, well, we can get you settled really quick. So on that purchase agreement or in that, what is the time frame that you're putting on there? What are you saying? Is it now 90 days? Is it now 6 months? What is that time frame that is on that agreement? Because before, we're like 15, 30 days because
Yeah.
we're wanting to,
Mhm.
play into that whole convenience, right?
Yeah.
Well, the time frame to be really, really short.
Sure. Well, I'm going to give you two answers here. Okay. The first part it's funny that I always train new wholesalers in is stop having diarrhea of the mouth. Okay. So I see that all of a sudden they go into presentation mode. Oh, it's great. I'm going to give you all cash. I'm going to close in 7 days over here. You could stay 60 days. I'm going to have a moving truck. We're going to move you. I'm going to move your aunt, your mother. We're going to take her all over to this community assisted living and we're going to sing songs to her. Right. I mean, and they promise the world when the seller actually is not looking for all of those things.
Right.
Right. And so what I can tell you is that in general, right now, most sellers are going to be okay with a 90-day close.
Okay.
So we have switched to a 90-day close on our contracts for two reasons. Number one is the market has changed. It has slowed down and has plateaued. And so we want to have 90 days, even if we do a cash deal or we're going to novate it. So it's printed in the agreement. So we don't address it unless requested otherwise by the seller. So just put it in there, leave it alone. Don't make an issue. Don't talk about closing in 14 days, right? Unless the seller is going to bring that up. So that's my first point there.
Got it.
The second thing, though, is that if the seller does do, you are talking about a higher price, and for whatever reason, you're going to do a novation in that because you're just too far, up on that price. I would anchor the seller and just say, hey, you know that I'm giving you a higher price because I can't close until I have my outside buyer. And because of that, there's financing, there's a little bit of marketing time. So this is going to take about 90 days. Right. But that's only if they give me the objection.
Okay.
You're going in lower, Stephanie, to get the price. So it's a wholesale. They want more. So you want more. Okay. I need more time. It's a negotiation, right?
Yes.
And if Todd, what happens if they want more and they want it in 2 weeks?
Yeah. So here's the great part. Hey, Mr. Seller, I wish you the best of luck. Right. I've got 3 wholesalers here who might be able to help you. Here are their phone numbers. Right. and give me a call back if you change your mind.
Okay. That sounds great. All right. And so one more thing. So in the purchase agreement, now you're looking at, you said there's some type of language that is saying we could market it on the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I think opening my mind to it, it's like, oh, this gives us options as wholesalers, even though the seller doesn't know that I have the option. And you're bringing that back to them later if that happens. So
Correct.
it would be nice because I didn't understand quite what you meant at the very beginning of our call right now. You said, I had one that we were going to wholesale, but you decided to novate. And I was like, oh, so you put them on a regular purchase agreement.
Correct.
With that new nuance now of time and of marketing on the MLS,
Correct.
so that it opens the option that you can come back later and say, hey, you know what? We're going to do this. And this is
Mhm.
what it's going to look like. And you already set up the whole mindset that you already got buyers coming in. We already got people doing all this. So whether it's a retail buyer or a cash buyer, it doesn't matter to the seller. You don't have to explain any of that to them. You
Correct.
already set the tone for that. But you still in the background weighing out your options. Do I have
Correct. And you said it perfect, right? Is that the seller usually, unless they're like super analytical,
Yeah.
is not thinking where that money is coming from, right? They just want their money at closing. That's all they care about,
All right.
right? And if they have to show the property a few extra times, right? They're not going to have a problem with that. But I always approach it as a cash deal, right? Unless I just know completely upfront that there's no way, right?
Got
Here's the other part is that even if I had a 30-day on that original purchase agreement, right?
Mhm.
And I now know that I need to change, I'm going to go back and renegotiate that with the seller anyway,
Okay.
right? As long as I built the rapport, I told them that I was going to market it, right? I'll go back and say, hey, heads up, just so you know, right? I tested this on the market. It's totally dead with
Yeah.
with my normal cash buyers. I do have some outside buyers that I actually can still get you that number I promised you. I just need a little bit more flexibility.
Mhm.
Can I get your cooperation?
I like that question. Can I get your cooperation?
Yeah. And it's all tone,
Yeah.
you know? If the seller ever comes at you and is just like, you promised me this and you promised me that, you'll see a lot of people like get defensive. And I say, hey, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, this is not your fault. Actually, this is my fault. Market's totally changed on me.
Mhm.
Right. And I would love to be able to close. You don't have to, right? I can still get you this money, but I need another 60 days because the only way I can do this, the only way that I could do this, Mr. Seller, is that if I bring this new outside buyer in, right?
Got
Put a smile on your face, non-threatening.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Just let me know if you want to do the deal, right? And
Okay.
I got to tell you, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes.
All right. Thank you. I think that's all I have.
Great
Good to
question.
see you.
Appreciate you too. Bye, you guys.
Awesome. We got a special segment real quick here, Todd. We do this every week. It's called Which One Would You Rather Own? Okay. I put up 2 luxury homes on the screen here, and we put a poll in the side chat to determine what the audience thinks is the better property to own. All right. This is just big properties, big mansions. It's just a lot of fun. Let's take a look at it. All right. First, we got this guy here. This is like, wow, what an estate here. This looks like it's, I don't know, like a Florida type property. Beautiful fountain. Look at all those different roof lines. Oh my gosh, that thing looks like it's got a tower on it. I don't know what that is, but that looks like a fun time. All right, we've got
Florida with pine trees, Brent.
well, Florida style. I don't know.
Okay.
And number 2. There we go. Maybe that's more Florida. And a more modern home here.
Yeah.
There we go. Do you go more traditional? Looks like definitely in Port St. Lucie, Florida here, this property,
Yeah.
100%. And number 2 is a more modern home. Number 1 or number 2, Todd, don't tell us your answer. You might tip the scales, but put it in the poll, number 1 or number 2. I'm curious what it is. Todd, keep it in your brain. Let me know what you think when we release the results. All right?
So the audience is going to think what I would pick?
No. The audience is going to pick what they want.
Okay.
But don't tell them what you would. Right? You have to determine which one you would pick. All right? Springtime. Are there leaders in the Rhino tribe that we can talk to if we think we've got a Novate deal, but we're not sure? Absolutely. I mean, first of all, if you're not part of the Wholesaling Inc. Facebook group page, let's put that up, Matt. If you've got that available, make sure that you join that. You post something in there, it'll go absolutely bananas. And you could reach out to any of us through DM as well. But put it on the, make sure that you join the Wholesaling Inc. Facebook page Do we have that, Matt? At some point? There we go. I think we've got over 19,000 members there. That's what it looks like. Make sure that you join that today. All right.
Well, also, Brent, I know if you see on the bottom right here, they talk about the Novations boot camp, right? So, we'll talk about new Novations a little bit in the Wholesaling Inc. Rhino Tribe, right? But if you really want to dig deep into this, right? If you want to dig deep, we actually have a specific Novations training, right? And if you go to novationsbootcamp.com, you'll see it there. But I mean, if you got a Novation agreement or something like that, post it in the Rhino Tribe over there, and someone will probably answer.
String time, jump on. Jump on. We'll role play.
Yeah, let's do it.
You got to jump on though. So, and make sure you have a good internet connection so that we can do that. We'd love to do that. All right. So we'll wait for you in the back stage. Jordan, is there a lien that needs to be filed to protect your interest during a Novation transaction?
Great question, Jordan. So one of the things that I'll recommend is that you file an affidavit of interest. That's what they call it in Florida. In California, you call it a memorandum of agreement, right? Yep. And so I'll recommend doing that on all of your deals, and only really for one purpose, and that is on FHA and VA and FHA loans. If they see a payout on the seller's side of the closing statement, right? That's how you get paid, right? They're going to want to see some kind of recorded lien, right? And so that affidavit or memorandum, right, will enable you to do it. The title companies don't always require it, but sometimes they do. So you can do that. In terms of protect, though, here's an interesting thing. When you say protect, I can tell you that having sellers back out of these deals is pretty rare, right? It's pretty rare. And so I am not interested really in going to battle with a seller, right? If they're like, don't want to close, if all of a sudden it was the day of closing and paperwork was all signed and I have a recorded interest, would I leave it there? Probably, right? But I'm not, if the seller calls me and wants out a week later, I'm not going to fight it. I just want to move on to the next one, make some money, put a smile on someone's face, get a 5-star review, and make another big fat check.
Awesome. All right. Who's on? Hey.
Awesome. Hi, guys.
How's it going? Welcome. Hey.
Awesome. Hi, guys.
How's it going? Welcome.
Oh, we've got kind of a delay back and forth on.
Can you turn down your audio a little bit?
Oh,
there we go.
Delay back and forth on.
Can you turn down your audio a little bit?
Does that work better?
There we go. Is it on 2 devices right now?
Does that work better?
That's a massive delay.
Is it on 2 devices right now?
We'll
ask your questions and then we'll get you off and we'll answer it.
Okay.
We'll ask your question. Okay. Hopefully we can reconnect. Who was that? That was Greg. I thought so. Okay.
Greg, try with some headphones. That might be better.
Abe, how would you pitch to a potential seller why to use you as opposed to a realtor?
Great question. So the one thing that I'll say is, why should I use a realtor? The first thing I would do is I always go into pull away mode. Something that we talk a lot about in the no limit selling system is reluctance, right? And so I tell the story, I don't know, probably every show, Brent, but I just got to repeat it.
Yeah,
I had this dog and her name was Molly, my childhood dog. It just stuck with me. And every time we used to open up our door, Molly, my black lab, used to run out the door and down the street. And we used to run after her. And the more we ran after her, the more she would run down the street and run away. And I'm telling you, like, everyone's anxiety was going through the roof because we thought she was going to get hit by a car. Well, eventually we realized that if we just ran the other direction, right, we would run the other direction and then run back into the house, Molly would follow you.
Yep.
And so that's exactly how we approach this. If someone's like, hey, maybe I should list with a realtor, I'll say, hey, like, maybe that is a better option, right? Let me ask you, what do you see the benefits of working with me? Right. And if you can't name any, hey, great. I can give you the name of 3 to work with. I don't sell anyone on working with me, right? If you feel like it's a fit and this is convenient for you and you're okay with me making a profit, let's do it. If not, go ahead and list.
I love that. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Abe, you're not going to convince anybody. You're not pitching them to not use a realtor. If they want to use a realtor, let them use a realtor.
Yeah.
They're already down that path. And that's 90 to 94% of the property owners should list with a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Or want to list with a real estate agent, want to do it traditionally. It's the people that want to get out of these situations and not have to deal with it and be done with speed and convenience for wholesale, or with the convenience and price of a Novation. That's all it is. Listen, if they want to put it on the market, they should put it on the market. Let them put it on the market. You should be asking them, why don't you put it on the market?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like real estate agents. I don't want people to see the property. I don't want it, whatever it is. I want this done as quick as possible. I want a cash as is offer. I don't want to mess with it. I want to leave all the stuff that I have in the property. I don't want to deal with inspections or appraisers or any of that stuff. And that's in our contract. But now you know it. You can cross it out in the contract, send it over to them, and lock up that deal.
Yeah. I'll comment once on that. I think Brent mentioned that we ask sellers all the time, why not just list with a real estate agent, right? And that's something that we call a stealth mismatch, in some of the selling techniques that we use. But I'm not sure I've ever done a deal with anybody that has said to me, why don't I do business with you as opposed to a realtor? I'm not sure that has ever come out of anyone's mouth that I've done business with.
Yep. Never. Anytime that they're like, well, I'm going to have a realtor over to give me a bid, and then I'll have you over and this type of thing, it's never worked out.
Never worked out.
It's never worked out. They just listed, they get, and by the way, most of the times they don't even sell their property. They're not even ready yet. They're just trying to get an idea of value, or they're bored. You know what I mean? So remember, you have to pre-qualify everybody. Condition, timeline, motivation, price. Condition, timeline, motivation, price. Find out what the problem is. And if you can solve it with a cash as is offer, because they want speed and convenience, perfect. You're the perfect guy for it. Babe, you just did it. You just did it. I mean, you just did it with the deal that you just locked up and sold. So, I mean, it's those type of situations. And you've talked to a lot of people that, you thought were leads that ended up not being leads. And you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs for sure. Also, how much of ARV do you have to get it locked up to make a novation?
Oh, this is great. This is I love this. Well, first of all, ARV goes completely out the window, okay, with a Novation deal, right? And the beauty of actually valuing a Novation deal is actually way easier than a wholesale deal. Because all you have to do, remember this, ARV stands for after repair value. And it's what a cash buyer is going to have to assume the property is going to be worth when they fix it and resell it. That's a traditional wholesale deal. The beauty of a Novation buyer is that they're not looking to fix and flip it. They're not looking for the value of what that's going to be. So all you're going to do is you're going to pull up your PropStream account, right? Or if you don't have that, you can use another tool like Redfin, but you can also see, okay, what are similar properties in similar condition just selling for? And that's the number, right? Now, we actually use a calculator, right? We have a special calculator that we use, right? A special calculator that we use to actually just put in that number, and then it calculates it. By the way, we can give away that calculator. By the way, if you go to novationcalculator.com, you can download that calculator, right? But basically, I'll just give you the numbers right here, right? And that is, you take what it would sell for, okay? You subtract just 10% from that, because you want to be 10% below, because you do want the property to sell fast.
Yep.
You back out the closing costs and the realtor commission. So that's going to be another, let's say 8%. And then you want to back out your profit.
Awesome. What website didn't work, Handra?
Did that not work out?
Novation calculator. Find the right link for that.
Yeah, I'll post it. I'll post it in I think Brett might be on. We'll post it in the link, guys.
Okay. Also, can't we just get into contract and put it on the MLS with a flat fee listing company?
No. Nope. Guys, do not try to save money by not listing with a broker. I'll say that again. Do not try to save money by not listing with a broker. A couple of reasons. Number one is that phone calls are going to be blowing up your phone. You're going to be talking to real estate agents, and unmotivated buyers, and it's going to be so much your time. It's going to be nuts.
Yep.
Second, though, is that I love a good broker. The beauty of this, imagine that you could have a total rock star who was familiar with the market, who had access to all the tools, who had handymen, who, had a relationship with all the closing companies, and they would handle all the paperwork. And all I had to do was pay them 1.5% to do this, right? And they freed me up so I could just find another deal, but I don't have to pay them anything up front, right? Well, that's what a good broker is going to do, right? And they will work for you for free up front until the deal closes, right? And they will do all of this work for you, and it is so much better. Do not use a flat fee listing company.
Think of it as part of your team, Abe. For real. Like a really, really, really good broker is necessary for sure.
Yeah.
Don't try to be cheap there. Also, are you straight up with them that you'll look for a buyer in MLS, and if not, I'll have to cancel?
I don't talk about canceling, right? That usually doesn't come up. But in terms of, you'll see it marketing on the internet, right? We're going to put this on the MLS, right? We give them certainty that we're going to be taking action from there. But I'll tell you what is, we want to move very fast, right? So you want to move with urgency. And so when we list a property, right, you want to have it on the MLS within like 48 hours. And then if you're not getting offers within 3-4 days, right, then you got to lower the price $10K. Another 3 or 4 days. Well, we call it 555, but no offers in 5 days, lower it by $10K. No offers but 5 days, lower it by $10K. So that way, if you need to renegotiate, right, you do that early. Don't do that at the last minute.
Awesome.
By the way, that Novation calculator, if it's not here, we'll make sure to put it in the YouTube description below the video.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. Do we have a results on the poll? We've got a results. Which one would you take, Todd? Number 1 or number 2? The beautiful Floridian property. No, it's probably California, right? The California property with the big roof, or the modern property?
I have to go with number 1.
Number 1. Number 2. Here we go. And the winner is number 1. Yeah. Look at that. It is cool. I like this thing. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll tell you what though, that looks like it's a lot in a landscaping bill. I'll tell you that. You know what I mean? Landscaping, air conditioning bill. That would be bananas. It should be in the mountains somewhere. It's probably by your house, actually, Todd.
Maybe
there in San Diego. I don't know if you have pine trees anywhere over there. Raymond, are FSBOs good for Novation deals?
Absolutely. Just make sure that you get it for a price that you can make a profit. So if a seller has got it just sitting on the market, right, listing FSBO, and it's not moving, whatever reason, it may not be, it might be because it doesn't have enough exposure, but I would just, set an expectation. You got to back out some profit there for you. So negotiate the right way, stick it on the MLS and make it happen.
One more question. Abraham, when comping and you can't find a comp that is a flip, does that make it not a deal?
No, as a matter of fact, with Novations, right, you're not looking for flips, right? So you're looking for houses that just sold. That's the beauty of the Novation, right? You take a look, you're like, yeah, this is a similar house, same size, within a half a mile, sold within the last 6 months, right? It's an average condition. Your house is an average condition. That's the value, right? Back out 10%, back out another 8% for closing cost commissions, back out your profit. Boom, you're ready to go.
I love this, Abraham, because listen, what Todd's talking about, what if you didn't do this as a wholesale deal? Right? I mean, unless it's a smoking hot deal, if there's no buyers in your area that are cash buyers, you're going to have a tough time moving that deal. But if you put it on the market where retail buyers can get conventional funding for that property, you're going to do much better with that property. It's just explaining that to the property owner, explaining that process, explaining what you're going to do to get them the money that they want. But if you're looking at a deal, a wholesale deal, and that you haven't seen anybody buying, and again, it depends on how long you're going, how much time you're going back. Are you going 30, 60, 90 days? Are you going within the neighborhood? Are you going within half a mile? Are you going within a mile of that subject property? Because that is important, right? To make sure that you're as close to that neighborhood as possible. But if you're talking about something rural, I think rural properties, this is just absolutely, you must have Novations. I mean, obviously in the city as well, but especially for those properties that are out in the middle of nowhere, because the cash buyers did this. They sucked it all into the main core economic zones, which is typically where you find, most of the deals going on right now, and where you're finding most of the houses, right? Most of the neighborhoods are within, driving distance, 30, 45 minutes from wherever people go to work. This is where the cash buyers are buying right now. If you're on the outskirts and you're not doing Novations, you're doing yourself a extreme disservice. I would absolutely check out novationsbootcamp.com, guys. Novationsbootcamp.com. Oh, one more. Why is it better to list it with a broker than a real estate agent? Is it because it gets sold? Same thing, Isa. Sorry, they're interchangeable. Broker, real estate agent.
Brent, I'm just disagree with you there.
You want to go with the designated broker of a real estate agency. They don't list properties. That's why they're called brokers.
Well, let me go. Where I'm talking about is, you're saying, why is it better to list with a broker than a real estate agent? Right.
Right.
Here's why. Is because I don't want a broker, number one, to all of a sudden now dictate what my realtor can or can't do. Right. It means they have a boss. So I want someone who is the boss and makes all the decisions. That's really, really, really important. So I want one decision maker, and I want to deal with that decision maker, and I want them the one who are doing the work, right? I'm looking like the guy who gets his hands dirty. And so that's why we go with the small brokerage firms, right? Usually the guys who name it after themselves, right? Because they don't have to,
I get it.
Name it. The other thing though, is that we're typically paying 1.5%, right, to our listing agents. And so if the broker's got to split that and the agent, I usually find that they're like, this is not worth it anymore.
So you're looking for small boutique brokerages where the designated broker actually sells.
Correct. Yep.
Well, okay. That makes them a real estate agent as well.
Okay. I didn't know that. But
yeah. Yep. Awesome. Well, that is it, guys. Great show. Todd, thank you so much for coming onto the show. This has been absolutely incredible, guys. Novationsbootcamp.com. Check it out. I am telling you, people are adding this to their business, and they're doing unbelievable deals that were dead before. And by the way, it also gives you an opportunity to go in to all of your dead leads, and all of the dead leads of the people that don't understand. We did a poll this morning. 73% of active wholesalers do not know how to do a Novation deal. That means that they've got dead leads that they can turn over to you, that you can convert to a Novation deal and split that deal with them, but it doesn't cost you anything. Add it to your toolbox. Yeah. Todd, any final thoughts?
Well, first of all, Alejandro, thank you so much for keeping everyone on our toes. That if you want that calculator, we'll make sure to post that below in the comments here. But I got to tell you, this is working right now in this market right now. We're closing a Novation deal as we speak. And if you implement this, okay, you're going to be head like so much farther than everybody else. If you think about it, if someone is cold calling, 10 or 20 hours a week, and you're cold calling 10 or 20 hours a week, and you're able to do just 1 or 2 deals more a month because of that, right? That's what, a $20,000 to $40,000 swing. And that's all going to be profit. It's going to go straight to your bottom line. And so that money not only is going to go your pocket, but it's going to build your business. These extra profit streams from lost deals are the things that make or break businesses. And so to me, doing a Novation, it's not an option, right? Like, you have to have these in this market, right? There's a reason why we pivoted to doing these. Again, we're still doing traditional wholesale deals, but we pivoted our business so that we are doing these on a regular basis. And so you've got to be too. That's my input.
Awesome. Todd, you're the best. I love you. Thank you for being on here. Thank you for spending 90 minutes with our incredible audience. Guys, if you have not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you got value out of it, make sure you hit that like button. This is the last live show for the year, and we'll be back in 2023. But remember this, keep your house clean, right? Protect your health and increase your value to this world, and you'll live an incredible life. I'll see you soon.